Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Ask CCSA. Today, I'm so excited. I think excited is an understatement. But with me today, I have a PhD candidate in biochemistry, Amanda Ramdass. Amanda has a bachelor's degree in chemistry and management, and as an experienced graduate junior research assistant with a demonstrated history of working in life sciences and chemistry. She has a strong professional background. She has a strong professional background in scientific writing and coding using RStudio. She is competent in molecular biology, DNA extraction, PCR, bioinformatic, and genomic analysis of fungi and bacteria. And she's also contributed to several journals such as BNC Microbiology, Bioremediation Journal, Scientific Reports, Microorganisms, Toxins, New Disease Reports, and Phytoparasitica. I hope I said that right. And I mean, her list of accomplishments in her career so far is quite admirable for somebody so young. And she's also contributed to several conferences during 2022. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you so much. I know this is going to be not only an interesting learning experience, I think, for our listeners, but I think it is going to be an inspiration and it's going to be a journey that you're going to take us through. So I'm really excited to understand all of those big words that I've just pronounced and to understand what it is that you are doing and how it contributes positively to our environment and inevitably to climate change and contributing to the betterment of the Caribbean.
Yes.
So Amanda, what I would like to do is just start at the basics, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about your research and how it can be used?
No problem. So hi, everyone. So without wanting to get too immersed into too much scientific data, or information, I will give you a brief synopsis of what was entailed in my research study. So my research involved going into oil contaminated sites in South Trinidad. I actually conducted interviews with members of the local communities there. And I investigated the microbes that were extracted from these sites for their oil degrading capabilities. Then I was involved in publishing of the data and then doing different outreach events. So it's extremely important to address the issue of environmental pollution. Mm-hmm. Oil contamination affects soil, water, and air quality. Now, this translates into socioeconomic and environmental issues for any country. And of course, contaminants eventually make their way up the food chain to us, right? So these are the problems that really got me thinking of how to use genetics in biochemistry to assist in the remediation of oil polluted soils. And hundreds of spills occur in Trinidad, right, annually. And what I'm doing is attempting to simply assist and provide a feasible solution through my research for cleanup of the environment. Now, similar studies have been done, but regionally and locally, we do not have in-depth research in this field. Also, Trinidad has a unique biodiversity that is found nowhere else in the world. And what this allows for is novel findings. So my research is both complementary and it supplements other studies in the metropolitan countries where they have been done. And it in no way does it supplant what has been done elsewhere.
I got you. So question. So for our listeners, because we have a wide range of listeners.
Yes.
When you say soil remediation, what does that mean exactly?
Okay, so soil remediation, and I use the word bioremediation, meaning using a biological or which translates to a natural remedy
Yeah.
to clean up pollutants in the soil. And that's simply what it is. And when you talk about bioremediation, which is this natural method, that natural method involves the use of microbes, which are these tiny living organisms, so your fungi and bacteria primarily, that through their amazing genetics and just the way they were made by nature, they are capable of utilizing this oil. And simply, in simple terms, it eats the oil and gets rid of it.
So this is actually the very epitome of a nature-based solution.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the microbes that you're talking about, how do they save carbon dioxide emissions?
Okay. So first, let me say that there is a global consensus that quantifying your carbon dioxide emissions remains a challenge for all scientists, right? Now, with that said, in industry, we use chemical-based operations mostly, and these processes depend on large amounts of energy. So I'm going to give you a real life example. For the leather industry, there's a big industry, and they actually use coal to produce the energy required to manufacture leather. Now, but if you use an enzyme from these microbes, and the name of that enzyme is lipase in this case, the potential carbon dioxide emission savings would be equivalent to the annual load of 75,000 global world citizens. Or you could think of it in terms of 170,000 cars, the carbon dioxide emissions from that. And that's to give you just an example of the carbon dioxide savings that you can get. So in many other industries, these enzymes from the microbes can be used, and they provide what you call green technology, without high energy production processes, and hence significant carbon dioxide savings. So, and I'd just like to say that, somewhere along the line, is the governments that must be the ones to provide that immediate protection, environmental protection laws to make this a reality in our industries.
So you open a good question there in terms of an enabling environment to be able to access these types of technologies, to implement these types of technologies. In your opinion, what is needed in order to create that enabling environment so that scientists such as yourself can implement not only just research, so the actual discovery side of things, but also kind of looking at how do we implement these amazing technology discoveries, and I say biotech, right? So biotechnology discoveries within the region.
Yes. Just for anybody listening, bioremediation is a biotechnological science. Just to clear that up. So the work to successfully implement this technology, it has to be done at a macro level. It concerns the entire country, and it must be a national, regional, effort and project. So hence that means we need to have intergovernmental, international mutual agreements that must be forged locally. Multilateral agencies, both private and the government, they need to work with scientists to have a clear and detailed plan for these technologies and bioremediation strategies. And of course, they will have, these agencies will have the resources for access to multidisciplinary research items, including environmental health researchers, your social scientists, your computational experts, to make the science and the tech, accessible, interactive, and actionable. So state-owned, private-owned oil companies, they must become and remain committed to funding the research, as you said. One way to do that, in which other metropolitan countries do it, is via rapid response grants. study short-term and the long-term effects of oil spills on microorganisms. And with all that said, what I'm trying to say is that I can't do it alone as a scientist.
Yeah.
It can't be done on a micro level.
Mhm.
So we really need the support and intelligence of, our local, regional agencies, and then we could reach out to those metropolitan agencies that have successfully implemented this for advice. Yeah.
Do you think that there's a role, sorry, love, do you think that there's a role for private sector that private sector can play to help move this forward?
Of course. And last year I attended the Energy Conference, and a few of the companies, private owned companies, actually approached us, and yes, they're interested in it. Why? Because if you look at, for an example, everybody knows BP. When you look at their company mandates and their objectives and goals, you would see is a massive thing on going green,
Yes.
transitioning to more sustainable energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
BP, Shell, Repsol, all the major oil companies.
All of them.
On Tobago have large sustainability goals to reduce their carbon emissions, to go green, etc. So yes, you're very, very much right in that regard. So this area of research, is there any other opportunities that it opens within this space? Does it open any other areas for research that could be beneficial?
Yes, for sure. And we can think of it in terms of, okay, so my research was originally focused on soil remediation, right? But remediation strategies using these microbes can also work to improve our air and water quality, as I mentioned. Give you an example of that is we can actually introduce these microbes into plants, and that gives them an amazing added benefit. And that plant and microbe combo may actually help us to improve food production or clean up the environment in terms of the air quality. And recent scientists actually inoculated the blue pea plants with bacteria that can remove formaldehyde. And this is a common pollutant, air pollutant from industries, and as well from cigarettes.
Yeah.
So we know in Trinidad, we have statistically a lot of smokers. Another way that it could be used is in the oil industry would be in cleaning up oil tanks, microbial enhanced oil recovery. And, what's special about these microbes is that in trying to degrade oil to make the process more efficient for them, they produce what you call a biocatalyst and biosurfactants. So again, natural products, right? And they can be used in industry. And I think I mentioned it before, microbial enzymes in industry. And they are so favorable compared to all the chemical synthetic ones that we use, because they have low toxicity, they're economically feasible, they're robust, and of course, green, environmentally friendly, right? And I say industries, what industries? Almost any industry that you can think of, from food, detergents, textiles, leather, pulp, medicine, pharmaceuticals, agriculture. So the biotechnological research, such as mine, it contributes to the development and commercialization of new and improved microbial products, not just for the soil, but for other industries. And for just FYI, products, these microbial products, they have been commercialized, right, already by other regions, countries. And Research Market actually, their data says that in 2020, the global market for biosurfactants was USD $4.5 billion. 2027 is projected to be USD $6.5 billion.
Yeah.
We have the resources to commercialize these products. Think
So
of
it's
what
safe
it
to
we've
say it's a
always
good
done.
investment. It's safe to say that it's a good investment. So
Yes.
I think what, and I know you mentioned it a bit, you touched on it a bit, that it has been done in other places, but what makes what you're doing unique to this space, to our environment? What makes it, what is that distinguishing factor?
Yeah. Yes. So I did say bioremediation is not a new technique, but
Yeah.
our knowledge of the underlying microbial reactions grew. As that grows, our ability to use them to advantage increases.
Yeah.
I would say that what makes my tech attractive is that it uses microbes from soil with over 100 years of exposure to oil.
Mm-hmm.
These microbes then have developed these highly specialized habitat and climate resistant strategies that make them better than what is already out there. And if we use what is out there, as we do in Trinidad, the research has shown that our local microbes actually perform better than the foreign counterparts because our microbes are already adapted to our local climate. And, this is reflected in a study done by Mohammed, Ramsbag, and Beckles back in 2007. And they showed that the commercial microbes biodegraded hydrocarbon-based contaminated soils to about 50%, when the manufacturer's recommendations indicated degradation rates that will actually surpass 95%. So why are we getting 50% when they guarantee 95%? Ultimately, it shows that that research showed that the commercial products, they weren't developed for our tropical climates, our unique habitat.
Mm-hmm. And I really wanted you to bring out that point, which you did beautifully, because what we do find a lot is that when technology, even when you're talking about physical technology, so for example, in climate smart agriculture, whether it's farming units or that kind of stuff, they come from outside. They are maladapted to our environment. So I really wanted you to drive home the point of why this is so amazing, because the way that we've operated as a country, the oil and also everything has allowed these nature-based solutions to develop in the best possible way to fight our problems, right? And so being able to harness that, we're solving our own problems. And I love that concept. Amanda, I'm going to get a little bit personal. From a very first conversation with you, you struck me as somebody who had a lot of passion and you're very driven, which is why I was so excited about doing this with you. Because I wanted to share some of this with this world. For those who don't know, Amanda is actually not feeling well. And Amanda is like, no, I'm still going to do this. I am going to be on this. We are doing this. And she's doing a fantastic job. So thank you so much, Amanda. So I'm going to get a little bit personal. Yeah. This drive and this inspiration that I get from you in waves when I have a conversation with you, where does it come from? What inspires you? What gives you purpose? And I'll add one additional question to that. What would you think is like the worst possible scenario? What would bring you misery at this point, right? So what makes you happy? What inspires you? And what would bring you misery? What would be your lowest depths of misery?
So a lot of questions in there.
Okay,
A lot of questions. Take them one by one.
I know, take them one by one. I know you can answer them.
What motivates me? I would say I've always had a strong belief in what is right and doing what is right. And I look at young people like young Greta Thunberg, and I think, I may not have a voice as big as hers, but in my own way, I can contribute to fixing the damage that we humans have done to secure a better future for, future generations to come. So I think by that, I found a way to satisfy, I guess, my moral and my assigned duties for better environment. And yeah, if I could just make a small contribution via my work and it can be used, then I would have been part of a positive change. What was the other one? What motivates me to overcome personal obstacles?
Yeah, what inspires? Is it
My,
a person?
my
Is it
passion.
within the work?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
It would be it's word that you use, passion. It would be my passion and my determination. When I decide to do something, I just do it. I go full on and I get it done. And in my low points, because I do have them, when I stop believing in myself, I take a break. I love retail therapy. Or I talk to my mentor, my supervisor. They have been a massive support for me. What makes me happy at the end of the day? Oh, that is so simple. My dogs. I have 4 fur babies that, oh gosh, after a long day, they offer you the pure unconditional love that I just don't get anywhere else. Yeah, so my dogs. And apart from that,
we won't go down that rabbit hole because I might take up my phone and start showing pictures and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
exactly.
I do agree very, very, very much. So I get that. So when in terms of what was one of the biggest lessons I think that you would have learned doing this research? Because it's a lot of research, it's taken a lot of time, for those who know this world, contributing to journals is very time consuming, presenting at conferences, very time consuming. Plus, you still have to actually do your schoolwork, right? So what would you say is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned doing this research?
In this moment, I would say that one of the biggest lessons is knowing, understanding, and accepting that there will always be setbacks, bad days, mistakes. But don't let them undermine everything else you've worked so very hard on. So I've really had to learn that there's no such thing as perfection. Yeah, it's one of the biggest lessons I had to learn.
So Raquel Moses, our CEO, she always says, don't let perfection be I want to make sure I get it right, but basically it's don't let perfection hamper progress, right? You're so busy in the pursuit of perfection that you're not moving forward. And so that ability to be able to fail forward is at actually the very nexus of scientific discovery, right?
Oh,
yeah, scientific is testing hypotheses over and over and over again it's to prove it wrong, right? It's not even to prove it right, it's to prove it wrong and it's to prove yourself wrong. But that's how we grow. So coming back to the technology now, if you had the power to make real change, what would you do?
If I had the power to make real change, I would make people less corrupt, less greedy. I'd remind them why they hold the positions that they have. And it's always, always to serve the people. And of course, that extends in my tech because a healthy environment translates to a healthy people, a healthy nation. I would tell people to wake up and see that, our actions, they directly impact the environment that we live in. It doesn't matter if it affects you today because you're not really experiencing those effects like others, but it does. In the background, it does, and it will catch up. And we really need to solve our pollution problem, our climate problem before it's too late. And again, Greta Thunberg said it beautifully. She said, adults keep saying that, we owe it to the young people to give them hope. And she said, but I don't want your hope. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear that we do every day. And then I want you to act. And I want you to act as if the house is on fire, because it is. And that was such a powerful statement for her in terms of us and the people in power actually making a real change. So yeah, I say this in relation to the state of our polluted environments and the state of our economy.
Mm. So based on the research that you've currently done, what additional research and development do you think could be done to ensure the successful implementation of the technology? Can you give us a sense of what that would look like?
Implementation. Yes, we need to do future studies on the microbes themselves. And that would involve, extracting the enzymes, investigating them, determining how to increase enzyme yield and efficiencies for the use in industry and to commercialize them, because we have to offer the best at the end of the day to get that money. And this would involve a lot of usually genetic engineering studies, and also patenting of those modified microorganisms. We need to work to protect our technology as well. What else? Additional research would include, always collecting data from pilot studies at different oil contaminated sites. And we need this data because every single site is considered as unique and every treatment plan will be unique. And then we need the reports of levels of efficiency over time using this tech. So just data for us to make better decisions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest challenges that you see to getting to what you've just described, to getting to that next step where additional research can be done? What would you say is the biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge?
And it could be more than one.
Yeah. Well, the one that comes to mind first is a big financial challenge. It takes a lot of money to invest before you could, reap the rewards of this tech. That's what comes to mind for me right now.
So going back again to the personal, being a young woman in science, for the other young women who are looking at this or who might see clips of this on social media when we post it on our Instagram page, and Facebook page.
Yeah.
What was your path? What led you down this road? If you had to guide somebody else to where you are right now, what would that look like? What advice would you give to them?
First and foremost, I would say just a couple of years ago, I didn't think that I could achieve what I've achieved to date. Even being here on your company's live stream, I mean, I thought, that was for smart people. That was people who were up there,
I think you are the epitome of smart. I don't know. Were you listening when I told to read your bio?
I know, but I just, that was my thinking. And I think a lot of young people, the issue is they don't see people like them. They see us when we reach this level or further. They don't see your struggle beforehand. So, young people just need support. They need hope. Most of all, they need the simple act of kindness, along their journey. I would say that women face many barriers globally. A major one that comes to mind is sexism. Another one is, is about the roles that we're supposed to play. And I would say to anybody who identifies as a woman, to not become a barrier themselves, as we have enough of those in society. So don't be one to yourself. Believe in your capabilities, build confidence, and somehow, oh my gosh, the rest just falls into place. It just somehow works out. So keep the faith, have mentors, find a mentor, find someone you can trust in, and lean on your bad days. I think that's one of the most important things to keep yourself intact on these kind of journeys.
So from a technical point of view now, kind of walk me through from secondary school, what you studied in order to be able to get to this point. So anybody who's thinking about getting into your field kind of know from like A
Right.
level, secondary school, A levels. Okay, this is where I need to go in order to get in this direction.
Yeah. And that's such an important pointer. And it's not just what I need to, it's important because what do you study to be who you want to be, especially when you don't even have a clear idea of that, right? For me personally, I selected science subjects, CXC level, A levels as well, mathematics, it was physics, chemistry. When I entered into UE, I actually decided I'm going to diversify myself a bit. And I decided to do chemistry and management because I always had in mind that it doesn't matter where you work and what you do, business is always an aspect of your mission and your purpose. Always a business side of things. So I kind of, put myself in a position where I could, just not be science, but be that. In terms of the chemistry side for my degree, I went all out. I actually spread my degree over 4 years, which a lot of students might, 4 years. But listen to me, you can get your A grades, you can have balance, you can space it out, and you could give your all that way, and achieve, you come up with a better, GP, I guess, but the GP isn't everything. I'm a firm believer in that as well. So yeah, a lot of my electives, by doing that, I got to choose more electives. So I was able to be more diverse in that aspect. I actually registered for an MPhil which is a master's in philosophy and research in chemistry, organic chemistry. So I actually used to do synthesis for a year. So I actually used to make compounds, chemical compounds. And from that, after that, I left, and then I worked as a junior research assistant in biochemistry. And it's that research and the projects that I worked on that opened my eyes to see, what I wanted to do at a PhD level. So it's okay to step out of the school a bit and, get a little job, get a little internship, feel yourself out, and then make a big decision to do the PhD, because you'll be miserable otherwise if you just jump into a PhD and it's not for you. And you don't want to start something and then quit, it'll just set you back. Also along the way, I would say personally, I always go online onto these, the American Society for Microbiology. I look at what's the other one I like? JGI. They are a genome. They work with the energy department of the US, and they offer conferences, short courses online. I have so many certificates, from doing online courses for my benefit. And that has really helped me decide on, to narrow in and hone in on my skills and what I want to do. So yeah, seek your own interest.
Yeah. What I've been smiling throughout, because even though, I was not in the sciences, definitely in the social studies area, the path that I took was very similar to yours in terms of figuring out what I want to do, doing as many electives, even though it was in subjects that people probably thought, oh no, you won't be able to get a job with that. And then just kind of getting yourself, figuring out, because you don't necessarily have all the answers. Some people know right from the start, some people don't. And then what you think you might love, as you start to go along that path, you might realize, oh, that's not really for me, but there's something else. So really enjoyed listening to how you came to that realization, your journey. What I do want to do is take some questions from the audience. And
Kiesha, can you just say one thing?
Sure.
I'm still changing and I'm still evolving. So don't put yourself in a box.
Absolutely.
As a young individual, and it's okay to do more than one thing.
Yes, exactly. It really, really is. And the thing is too, I feel as human beings, if you are not evolving, then to me, then does your life really have purpose though? Because we change, our environments change, we learn, and we are a sum total of all the experiences that we have. So as you grow, give yourself room to take risk, right?
Yes.
Give yourself room to be able to grow, and give yourself room to change your mind. It's okay to
Yes.
change your mind,
And say no, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple of questions. One is from Dr. Barbara Bilal, who is listening on LinkedIn. And
Yes.
she said, treating our waste, be it by microbial associations and biotechnology, it's much more sustainable strategy to solving our domestic and industrial waste than burying it in a landfill or incineration.
Yes.
So it's a little bit of a statement, but I think that there's something that you can add to that in terms of what currently exists for a lot of us. And when I say a lot of Caribbean countries, in terms of these unmanageable landfills or burning rubbish, burning things, and then you have those toxins going up into the air. So
Exactly.
what would you like to say to that?
Exactly. And is exactly what you said. It's the methods and the techniques that are currently employed that is the problem. We look at burning, burying, sometimes, we just collect and we dump in a different place. It's not actually dealing with the problem. Also, what we try to do is dump a lot of chemicals and see, if they could fix the problem. But what that does is it causes other problems. And so this is why it's important to look for sustainable solutions, as she said, as Doc said, for nature to take care of itself. Nature does no harm. And if you use a solution from nature, no harm will be done. So natural intervention is natural and good for everyone, is what I would say.
Yeah. Do you feel like, let's say you were able to get this intervention off the ground, what do you see the scale looking like? Do you see Trinidad first? Like, what would scaling in the Caribbean look like for you?
Scaling in the Caribbean, of course, I would want to start here. My country has always been predominantly oil and gas industry for the past century. Even though we don't produce oil anymore, we have natural seeps that, spit out oil constantly. And I'm talking about in the backyards of people's home. So I would want to start with pilot studies at home, at a smaller scale, and then work my way up to bigger, I would say, sites in terms of the size that I'm treating. And then, of course, I would want to, like I say, you have to do it on a macro level. It has to be interagency. It must be collaboration. So, of course, then I want to come out to the region. Who else has this issue? How can I help? How could I use my tech to help you, my knowledge to help you? And of course, as I said before, why not go international with it, patent and protect the technology, and commercialize these products for a more sustainable economy as well, not just an environment.
So I'm just reading. Thank you very much, Dr. Babalal, for that follow-up statement. She says, definitely appreciate your insights into the numerous air pollutants resulting from industry. Can't manage what we don't measure. That's so true. We can't solve problems without having proper data as to what the problem is, because then you're putting a patch on something, but you may not actually be solving the problem. You touched actually on another question that I was going to pose that has come up in the chat, and that is with regards to patenting. And do you have any advice on that end, or a direction that you think young scientists should be looking at taking within the area of intellectual property protection?
Of course, I see that as a gap in our at a postgraduate level. we do a lit review at the start, but we do ever think about how can I actually make my research a reality? Unfortunately, we're not encouraged to look at patenting, protecting technology and making it real. And it's so fascinating that, other universities, they, 3 of my publications counts as one of a patent publication. And the income it generates for university and the economy is out of this world. And there are many examples where, scientists just publish their work and other people, because it's not protected, they can just go online, read everything you've done and go from there, because guess what? They have the resources, they have the financing, they have the business mind behind it, they have the PR, they have everything. So they just take your work and run with it. So I would say, look towards, we have the Trinidad and Tobago IP office here.
Yeah.
Go to them.
There's one on each Caribbean island, huh? So for people on other Caribbean islands who are working on innovative technology, there is a intellectual property organization in each of the islands. Yeah.
Yes. Go to them and go to them from the start, because, imagine you spend 10 years of research on a problem, find this amazing solution, and then you go to say, I want to patent this, I want to commercialize it. And the patent office then checks and say, oh, that's already been done. What do you do? What do you do? So at the start, you want to see what has already been done. How can you build on what's been done? Do you have what you call a blue sky idea, which is a brand new one that you could contribute to society? So, and then of course, locally you have your IP offices, and then internationally they have the World Intellectual Property Organization as well. So always equip yourself, read. Read. And
interestingly, one of the things that we found as we evaluate projects, one of the questions that we usually ask via our project portal is anybody else doing what you're doing? Right. And all too often, a lot of project holders respond, they don't know. And the thing is, I'm like, you don't know is not an acceptable answer, because exactly what you said, you want to know, one, not only from just a protection point of view, but it is better to build on something that, or it makes no sense reinventing the wheel, build on something so you can improve it. And if you do have something that's new, you want to be able to make sure that you protect it. So as you said, right from the start, you seek that advice, you go to the relevant authorities, they exist to provide that advice. And they offer that advice for free.
Yes, right? They do.
They offer that advice for free. So you don't need to pay a lawyer to get it done. They offer that advice for free, but and they will guide you as to how you need to move along in the process.
Yes.
David Crichton, who's joining us from YouTube, he's saying, are there any local or regional laws in place to protect our microbes from financial exploitation by larger biotech pharma or by multinational corporations? And I think you kind of touched on this question. Is there anything you think you want to add based on the specificity of this question?
Because I've been looking into patenting my work, I know for a fact that we don't have those patents that in relation to microbes that exist in Trinidad. And I don't think the wider Caribbean. My research isn't complete, so if I'm wrong, don't hold me to it completely. But so far in my research, together with the Trinidad and Tobago International Patent Organization company, they have been helping me. And the first thing he said was, no, there isn't any. And this is why I said we need to encourage our postgraduate or research students to patent their work. It must be something that's there in their minds and in the works from the beginning of it. Laws and regulations, apart from just a patent, are extremely important, because you could have a patent and do absolutely nothing with it. A patent could sit there for years and then expire, and you do absolutely nothing with it. What we need is the laws and regulations to enforce and protect our technology, or any kind of technology, as he said, to not be taken over by big pharma.
Yeah. You would have recently presented at the TNT Energy Conference last year. The title of your presentation was Harnessing Ecosystem Partnerships and Innovation Challenge. And then after that, you would have also written an article that Dr. Driver, who's actually the president and the CEO of the Energy Chamber, would have asked you to do, basically for the general industrial leadership. Is there any points that you would want to share coming out of those two experiences with our audience?
Yes. Be confident in yourself and your work to stand in front of those CEOs and those, as we call them, the big boys in the oil industry. Be confident. And somehow when your facts, not just opinions, and your research matches your action, they come to you.
Right.
So I learned, to not be afraid. Because the Energy Conference was like baptism by fire. I've never been on such a platform before. And I just went up there and I did my pitch. And I remember mid-pitch, I took a breath and I looked at the audience and I said to myself, wow, why don't I feel more nervous and sick? How am I here talking? And I just continued on and I said, because Amanda, you've prepared yourself for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So when preparation meets an opportunity, you execute. And that was it. That's what I could take from those two things. And then also it was like, wow, a company actually cares. So my work is for nothing. So it was also validating. It was very validating for me. To get the response and the feedback that I did from these people. I remember as soon as I walked off the stage, they were like, excellent presentation, Miss Ramdass. And I'm like, you saying that to me? Okay, thank you. So again, to the young people and to anybody, grab both opportunities with both hands, hold on strong and just go through with it. And like you said, Dr. Driver, after the presentation that I did, he reached out and asked me to do a follow-up article. And it's opportunities like that. I'm not gonna lie, I thought to myself, no thanks. Again, I'm not smart enough to do that, and then the other excuses that you make for yourself. I'm too busy, I'm too this, I'm too that. And oh my God. One piece of advice I always tell myself, I'm gonna get over yourself and just do it.
Just do it. Exactly.
And somehow it works out.
It does. I'm going to share this article on our various streams, and we're sharing it now with so this would have been the article that Amanda would have wrote for the general industry readership.
In Energy Now.
Yes, in Energy Now. And so we're sharing that right now via our various channels. So if you want to have a read of that article, you can. Amanda, I know that you had a short video where we can actually see the microbes at work.
Yeah.
Would you like to share that now?
Yes, I actually totally forgot about it because I got so close to it.
Good conversation. Well, that's what good conversations do. So let's see that video, and we get to see these microbes at work. It is absolutely amazing.
1 second. Oops. Right. So this was like the wow moment for me when I did my pilot study. And it was like you just put the microbe grows at the center of the plate on a media that supports its growth, and you douse it in oil, and you come back in 3 days and it's just like it's disappearing before your eyes. So that's what I wanted to share for with the audience, just for them to get a visual.
Let's see it one more time. So this took place over a 3-day period. It's okay.
You seeing it?
Yes. This
Okay.
took place over a 3-day period.
Yes.
Wow. How
Yes.
much, do you know how many microbes was
We're
in
here.
this? Yeah.
One single isolate. And this is the power of one. So could you imagine the power
One.
of more? Yeah.
Wow.
This is one. This is one of my favorite microbes.
Wow. Yeah, I could see why you're so excited. I mean, to know that the power of one is so strong, but to
Yeah.
actually see it happening
Before your
in
eyes.
yeah.
Yeah. This was my wow moment. Before I even registered for the PhD.
Yeah.
I was just doing a pilot study and I was like, what in the world? So yeah, it was really fascinating. And then of course, like we say, we go to nature for these solutions. Look at what nature could do. Look
Yes.
at what nature could do.
Nature heals itself. It is if
Yeah,
we just give it a chance. We just give it a chance. Nature heals
exactly.
itself.
Exactly.
All right, Amanda, I have been thoroughly enjoying this conversation. And I feel like we're getting some more comments. John De La Rosa is saying, IP rights have been an afterthought. It needs an evangelist. I think we found the evangelist, Amanda. And then we have another, and this person is on YouTube. And then we have another comment from YouTube from Kyle Davis. He says, this is really good. So many people don't remember to protect their IPs. Yeah.
Yes.
So it was really good to have that information also come up. I do think, a lot of the times with scientists, the business aspect of things, the legal aspect of things, because they're so focused on the science of it, sometimes they forget that aspect of it. And so having that holistic, approach, the business side, the science side, the legal side is very important for being able to take things forward. So
Very.
Amanda, I want to kind of get from you a takeaway message. Yeah. If look, the young people looking at this, the other scientists looking at this, what would be your takeaway message to our audience?
Always do what is right. And let that extend into everything that you do. For me, it's my research, and doing what is right for the environment. We always need to remember that this is where we live. This is the gift. The earth is our gift, and we need to take care of it. So the takeaway message definitely is take care of what was given to you. Don't take it for granted.
Yeah. I heard once, and I actually can't remember where I saw it, but that there's no planet B. And
Yeah,
that just kind of resonates with me. Like it's stuck in my head. There's no planet B.
there's
There's
no
no
planet.
going to live on the moon. There's no anything else. This is the planet that we have, and we
Yes,
have a responsibility to take care of.
responsibility.
Yeah,
That's
we
the
have
word, a responsibility. Yes.
So Amanda, with all the amazing things that are happening in your life right now, what are the next steps for you?
Ooh, next steps. Well, as I mentioned before, I am currently, working with the working on the commercialization potential and patenting of the tech. And that is in no way an easy task or a short task. It could take years to do. So I want, some of my focus will be there. Future plans, well, I'm submitting my thesis soon. It's already ready. And I really just hope to start my career and move into the next chapter of my life. And like we discussed before, I don't have like a specific box to say, this is the job that I'm going to do. I'm very much open to, when the time is right and when the opportunity presents itself, again, I'm going to grab it with both hands. So yeah, I can't predict where I'm going to land, but I could just know myself and know what I want and wait for it to happen.
Amanda, this has been a true pleasure to talk to you. And I have no doubt that wherever you land, you're going to be fantastic. And that you're going to grow. challenges aside, everything that is, and we're going to be probably having this conversation on a different platform, or I'll be seeing you at some conference and I'll be like, I knew Amanda when she was doing when she was a PhD candidate, and wishing you all the luck for the submission of your thesis. But this has really been an enjoyable, and I hope the first of many conversations with young Caribbean minds who are shining bright like diamonds. Yeah. And are actually actively working towards solving the climate crisis, protecting the environment and amplifying the voice of young Caribbean people. So thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I know we'll be in touch. And good
Thanks
luck.
so much. Thanks so much for Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been my honor. It's been nerve-wracking as well. But I'm delighted to be here. And I just want to say, to the audience, if anybody has any future questions, you could reach out to me. My LinkedIn is there. You could reach me there, Amanda Ramdass on LinkedIn. And of course, in ending, I need to thank the University of the West Indies for, being the organization where I could have conducted this research. Everybody that was involved in the project. Of course, my supervisor, she is brilliant. She's kind. My mentor, Mr. Rampasad, and of course, my family and friends and my dogs.
Hey, dogs. Yeah. All right, thank you. And we're going to share Amanda's LinkedIn, the link to her LinkedIn in the various medias that people are following us on right now. So to our audience on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing this interest. There will be a recording of this, and we will also be curating it in smaller bites for social media. So we encourage you to share with persons who, to share widely, because I think more needs to be said and more needs to be known about what's happening. All right. So thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of you too.